My favorite vegetable of all time has to be Sid Barrett. I mean, there's a guy that starts Pink Floyd, is extremely charismatic, drives the girls wild, and, writes all the music and the songs. It's very clever lyrics. And then kind of goes spaz and, wigs out. And classic case of bipolar 1 rearing its ugly head, and it just about happened at the right time. But the people think that this is something that was drug-induced. No, no, no. Barrett's use of drugs was comparable to the other Pink Floyd artists, I'd say. No, he was bipolar. And he had an episode, and he lost his mind, and there wasn't good treatment options, and he went largely undiagnosed. So he was out of it. He couldn't play, and they eventually replaced him in the Pink Floyd with Dave Gilmour, who understood Barrett's style and adapted to it and played Barrett like for a while until adopting his own style later on and doing his own thing, which Gilmour did pretty quickly. So why am I talking about Barrett and the Pink Floyd? Well, because Barrett was bipolar 1, I am bipolar 1, but my life didn't self-destruct the way his did. His life would have been a lot better if he'd been medicated. Put on lithium carbonate or something like that would have done him a lot of good. He probably could have functioned within the band, but no one was savvy enough to what was going on with his illness in particular to do anything about it, right? They didn't know. So Barrett wigged out, the band moved on, and Barrett did very interesting artistic work afterward in the context of his own solo career. And the Pink Floyd were right there, right? We're going to produce you naturally. And so, Pink Floyd did brought in people like the Soft Machine to play backup on the Madcap Blast, for instance, all the musical instruments. You got Wyatt on the drums, right? And Wyatt listens to the song and he goes, okay, I'll come up with something for that. I'll put in trills and everything else, and I'll get the timing exact. Which he did, right? So you're listening along to Pink Floyd and, to Sid Barrett. And you're listening to Robert Wyatt's drum adaptations, and they're amazing. Truly bring life to Barrett's solo work, was that he had access to someone like Robert Wyatt to handle the percussion, and he did it very effectively. So there's the Robert Wyatt bit and the Sid Barrett bit, and the whole bipolar business. Wyatt was not bipolar by any stretch. A solid creative imagination there, and no need for anything at all in order to make Wyatt tick. You didn't need to do anything to Wyatt to make Wyatt tick. He was Robert Wyatt, plain and simple. Gifted drummer and singer extraordinaire. So we have Wyatt, we have Barrett, and various other people, and they are intermingling. And Wyatt knows a lot about Sid Barrett, and doesn't shy away from explaining Sid Barrett. But he doesn't have to. Wyatt needs to explain Robert Wyatt, and he does that in large measure. Talks about his experiences with his wife, writes her poetry, and it's all very beautiful. And we're talking 1984 here. So it's not that long in terms of this, but about 15 years. Sorry. And there you have it. That's the story of Robert Wyatt and his music. Really got to do something about that cough. You're not supposed to cough on YouTube. I know that's a rule, but what am I going to say? I may be dead in a few weeks, so if I seem kind of loquacious and laconic, and I'm coughing a lot, well, that's because my body is starting to shut down as a result of its inability to cope with a staph infection that won't go away. And the staphylococcus is poisoning me. Essentially, it's fatal. So, I'm in the battle for my life at the moment with this staph infection. I'm not in very good shape. It's also extremely painful. It's mind-bogglingly painful. Like, why is this thing so painful? It just is. And you know, the pain is 9 and 10. 8 is a breeze, right? But 9 and 10, you're starting to laugh because it's so painful. And you're going, man. People don't endure this, right? People cannot handle this unendurable pain. They have to be given painkillers. But you know, it's no sweat for me. I don't care. Don't give me any painkillers. I don't want to get addicted to some crappy opiate or something like that. I do not take those kind of drugs. I'll handle the pain, trust me. It doesn't matter how bad it gets. I can easily put it out of my mind or just push it aside. What's pain? Physical pain is easy. As I've always said, and I'm saying in this video, mental torment is hard. I'll take physical pain any day of the week. That's easy to rationalize, but the mental torments that people visit upon one another, those things carry scars that you don't see, but the person has to carry every sorrow. You think it goes away with time, but it doesn't. You carry your sorrow for the rest of your life, without regard, whatever it may happen to be. You have to carry it. All of your sorrows, they never go away. You may compartmentalize that part of your life and say, well, that was a sorrowful time. But you're going to carry the memory of it forever, in a manner of speaking. So adapt. You really have to. So I'm here, I'm carrying my sorrows around, and are they significant? Yes, they're bigger sorrows than you could cope with. But it's okay, I'm designed for that sort of abuse. And I don't expect that you are, and so chill. Because, you know, if you engage me at that level, it's not going to end well for you. I'll outthink you, I'll out-argue you, I'll demonstrate the falsehoods in your ways, I'll demonstrate the lapses in logic, for example, epistemology, whatever it takes, I shall do. And it's not done in a form of competition. If you make good arguments, I support you for your good arguments. But if you don't, well, what can I do but explain it to you in terms that you may understand? And that's generally the way things happen for me. In my videos, I like to make things quite explicit and clear. And I don't mince words and I don't play games. Why would you watch me? Why would you listen to my words if I didn't say something that made sense to you? That this is the way to comport yourself. This is the way to engage. This is how to do it in a manner of speaking. And if there's no one around to tell you how to do it, you have to figure it out for yourselves. And that may be the case for a lot of you, where you have to figure things out. Try to discern what's going on. Try to make something out of what's left. But that's the best you can do, I'm afraid. And when people tell you that, you know, things are going to be all right, no, they're not. They shall get worse, systematically so, over the ensuing years, because the thermal limit has been breached. So, we are looking at a global runaway that has already started. It started a while back, so, you know, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Runaway climate is a problem for us. There's no doubt. But climate is a very well-regulated system. So, you know, we're lucky in that the overarching climate systems, El Nino and La Nina, are utterly unaffected by anything that we're doing. Largely unaffected. The oceans are affected. But what's most troubling is the overfishing that's been taking place. And our oceans are soon going to be empty of life. They're going to be sterile places, devoid of life, and the only thing they'll have in them is all of our garbage, which ends up in the oceans. A lot of plastics, right? I have to clean it up. So, we're in bad shape in that respect, and there's not a whole lot that we can do because we have not cultivated collections of wild nature. We have, of course, in our zoos, we have animals and mammals and so on and so forth. But we don't have large populations of fish, do we? So it's not like we could restock the oceans at some point in the future. We have lost some species entirely, and there's no getting them back. Once they're gone, they're gone. So that's an unfolding problem with our environment, is oversimplification of systems. You lose entire species in a chain, and you lose the top players in the food chain, and you're done. The system will never recover. Fortunately, our top predators tend to move around a lot, so you've got things like sharks in the ocean, and killer of whales, which are a type of dolphin, the orca. And these beasts, the sharks and the whales, really do rule the roost in the ocean. They're the ones that keep the populations down. They're the tigers and the lions of the Serengeti, but they're in the ocean. And those populations don't seem to be at great risk. What are it? I'm getting hit with like a triple whammy here. I've got a brutal headache. I've got, which I don't generally get. I've got extreme pain in my legs, and it's like going off, like explosions, right? And I can't help but react. So Charles isn't doing so well here, folks. I may be looking at a clock that is running out. But I'll keep up to the very end, I hope, and continue to make YouTube videos on an ongoing basis until I drop dead, which may be happening sooner rather than later for me. If this issue doesn't resolve itself, I'm cooked. It's going to get in my bones and I'll be dead within 3 months. If that's the case, then I should start to put my affairs in order, and really the most important thing to do is not to start any complex relationships. And I'm looking directly at Emma Watson on that one. I have to give her some sort of explanation as to what's going on. I don't think she's going to watch a YouTube video that I make. So no overriding complex relationships. Don't start any, because you've already got all of these complex relationships that you have to tend to. So don't start anything new and wrap up all of these other ones, because you are going sooner rather than later, and prepare yourself for that. That exigency is something that weighs heavily on my mind, because I can't ignore it. I can't say, no, that's not going to happen, because I'm unsure of whether it's going to happen or not. I don't know. But I can't mince words, and I can't mess about with the thing. I've got to prepare myself for any exigency, any eventuality, and that includes dropping dead in 3 weeks' time. Oh, Jesus. Oh.